The key thing that we need, if we're going to take this image of ourselves and project it into the market, is that we have to have a story that connects us to our customers. And we have to tell the story in a way that resonates with the customers. One of the things that I'm always saying to people is it doesn't matter what I think, it doesn't matter what you think, what matters is what the customers think. And you have to tell your story in a way that relates to them. So I kind of use this model here, which is a thing called the brain map. I mean, there are lots of these psychological models. I just use this one because I happen to like it, and it kind of works for me. This is about thinking, this is about having a bias for action, this is about right brain thinking, which is a bias for sort of pattern, systems, relationships. This is left brain thinking, which is the sort of point value. Kind of reflects what Rob was saying about, you know, are you dealing with the point value of the actual operation itself, or are you looking at the industry, are you looking at the business as a whole? Systems thinking. I think systems thinking is actually pretty important, but then that's because I personally live up here. I'm a thinker, I like to do patterns, so in this analysis I'm a bit of a visionary. One of the problems that businesses have, if they're innovative, is that we sell, you know, anybody who's done any, I've spent sort of most of my life selling things to people. What you find is that you sell most easily to people who are like you. So I find it easily to sell to other visionaries. Rob is possibly a bit more analytic, although I'm not going to accuse him too much of this, would probably find it easier to sell to other analytic people because you kind of, you know, you feel comfortable with people who are like you. It's just natural, it's human nature. So to some extent, if you're selling things, particularly in a small business environment where it's a projection of who you are yourself, you kind of instinctively seek out people who are likely to buy from you. But the problem if you're a visionary, and this is where sort of Geoffrey Moore's first book, Crossing the Chasm, comes in, is eventually you run out of other visionaries to sell to, and then you have to start to all these analytic bastards who are on the other side of the coin, and then it becomes difficult. You have to find somebody else who relates to them because you can't change your spots. I mean, this is about how you might analytically decide how you're going to flex your story to engage with them, and although it will work out to a point, ultimately you need somebody like them to sell to them. And I think one of the problems of business growth is you have to realise when you've actually, your way of doing things is starting to get in the way, and you have to sort of find somebody who has a different perspective to take the business forward. And I'll tell you, I've run 4 businesses since 1981. And if you haven't got somebody in your senior management team who likes doing process, you won't get past a 10-man company. Because once you get out of the hunt, you know, as long as you're in the hunters-gatherers zone, you can push it forward by force of personality. But once you get past that, and you're starting to play Mr. Tesco space, you need an analyst in your senior management team. So, this is just I'm not going to go into this in a great deal of detail because it's very busy. But what fundamentally it says is this is the actual process of building a customer. You've got an initial contact, you've got a customer creation bit where they're getting to know you, they decide whether they like you, whether they're going to buy from you. You've got the transaction where they buy the first thing from you, and then you've got hopefully a relationship development where you've kind of encouraged them to come back and buy some more stuff from you. Now, all of these are mechanisms for doing things, but fundamentally, I've spent a lot of time thinking about the balance between online and offline activity. And it seems to me that if you're running a traditional consultancy business, you're kind of doing most of it by networking, by face-to-face consultancy. Actually, we kind of sell the organic vegetables like that because there is a website, but it just is there as wallpaper. All of this is sort of personal stuff. So you might have a referral from an advocate, phone conversation, you have a meeting, you'll kind of get engaged with them, the contract will be placed at some point, and a sale will occur. The other line, the other route up here, which is what we kind of do in our plants and presence business, is to say, right, we've got Google AdWords, we've got links from affiliate sites, we've got other referrals in. They go to the website, they buy something, and then we kind of engage with them by sending them follow-ups and hopefully giving them a good service. And I think Rob's point that basically lean is getting value to the customer as quickly as possible is absolutely right. If you can basically get stuff and ship it out the same day, you get so much kudos. The only reason we got into fulfillment in the first place is because our idea was always just to take the orders and give them to somebody in the horticultural industry to fulfil the delivery of the plants, because they couldn't do it. They couldn't get their head round the just-in-time stuff that Rob's been talking about. They can't cope with the idea that an order comes in at 3:30 and at 4:15, it's on the courier. You could analyse that business in our terms as a manufacturing business. It's a just-in-time manufacturing business. It happens to have a plant, a live plant, as a part of a small bill of materials. But the whole thing, the reason it's successful is because my other half spent 25 years writing manufacturing software, and that's what she wrote as the back end. So although all the image on the screen is very flowery and very nice, the reality is we're running a factory. And the people who are basically selling all these pots, pots of peppers to Tesco are running glass factories too. And really well organised and super duper top notch glass factories they are. And they will be using all the principles that Rob has been telling you about. And then of course you've got the hybrid route, where if you're basically selling sort of knowledge products, you want to generate some activity online, and then at some point you're going to sort of collide with them and then take the rest of the business through in a conventional consultancy sale. So you've got these three routes which sort of negotiate you through all this stuff.